Good morning, boys and girls. Welcome to lesson 7. Let's go ahead and get started with the materials that are needed for today. You are going to need your word web for our new word. You're going to need your daily comprehension, and you're going to need your interactive journal. Remember, your interactive journal, you reference them every single time that you have a question because the anchor charts are used to guide you in anything that you might need. Remember, if you're missing anything for reading class, to send me a private message so that I can get in contact with you and your parents. And we're going to start off with our word web. The word we're going to look up today is erythrocyte. What word? Erythrocyte. So erythrocyte, and then we're also going to find a synonym. Remember, boys and girls, where do we go to look up the definition? We go to dictionary.com, or if you have a dictionary at home, you can look it up. So the word erythrocyte means it's a red blood cell. So I'm going to give you time to write that down. Make sure you pause the video if you need to. Okay, so now let's find a synonym. So remember, we click on synonym, and it takes you straight through thesaurus, just like we would have in class. So it is a red blood cell. It is a white blood cell. Oh, boys and girls, so can you tell me what we're going to be reading next? We're going to be reading about science, right? So let's go ahead and copy the definition and the synonyms. So this is what your word web should look like right now. You wrote the word erythrocyte, which is a red blood cell, and here I just drew a little picture for me to remember that it is a circle, and a white blood cell is a synonym for erythrocyte or red blood cell, and for antonym, for now, we're going to go ahead and leave it blank. Now for the sentence, I want you to go ahead and leave it blank, because once we start learning about the erythrocyte and what it is, you'll be able to come back and make a connection so that you understand what it is. So for now, go ahead and pause the video so that you can put your word web away. Okay, boys and girls, so today we are on lesson 7. Student will be able to identify and explain the purpose of text features by analyzing the circulatory story. You heard that right, boys and girls. We're going to start reading a new text, and I am sure you're going to love it. So today we're going to be talking all about text features. So the what and the how. Remember, these are the ones that guide you throughout the lesson, and they tell you and explain more to you the use of them. So number 1 says on the what, identify print and graphic features, like the title, heading, photograph, illustration, fact box, italics, bold print. Now, does that mean that's the only thing there is, boys and girls? No. I'm just giving you an example of the print or graphic features. And how are we going to do that? Remember to ask yourself, why did the author include the print or graphic features? So remember, when you see a photograph, you need to ask yourself, why did the author include that photograph? How does that make me have a connection to the selection? Remember, selection is a whole story. And then you need to ask yourself, how do the print and graphic features help the reader understand the selection? So why did they use them? And how does it make me understand the selection? So on your composition book, right below where we did the notice and wonder chart, T-chart yesterday, I want you to write these key points. So we're writing the what and the how. So 1 is identify print or graphic features, and these are the examples, title, heading, photograph. That doesn't mean there's only these 3. And then how are we going to do that? Number 1, why did the author use text features? And number 2, how do they help me understand the selection? Go ahead and pause the video now so that you can copy these 2 key points. Remember, boys and girls, that our interactive journal is used for anchor charts. For example, the text features anchor chart is the one that we're going to be needing today, since we're going to read a new selection. But if you don't have to, that's fine. You can write here, and you could also glue your anchor charts here. Don't worry about it if you don't have any glue. That's okay. As long as you have the anchor chart packet together that you can see and reference back to, that's okay. Okay, boys and girls, so today we're going to be talking about what is a great heart literally. So we had previously been talking about a great heart figuratively. Remember the feelings, like Clara Barton, Helen Keller, and Anne Frank, how they were brave, they were generous, they were courageous. Now we're going to be focusing on literal, remember, real. So as you have inferred, we're going to be talking about our actual heart. So the circulatory system. Remember, circulatory sounds like it's going in a circle. So let's go ahead and watch the video.
Hi there. Can you guess what I am? I'll give you a hint. I have a very important job inside your body, and your heart helps me to do my job. I'm a red blood cell. My job is so important that you'll thank me for it later. But I can't take all the credit. Without your heart, I couldn't do a thing. You see, I'm like a little delivery truck in your body. I pick up and drop things off all the time. I ride the highways of something called the circulatory system. I like to call it the circle system because I keep going in circles. This system is made of your heart and blood vessels that carry your blood to different areas of your body. Your blood vessels are like tiny tunnels that run all through your body. They are made up of arteries that take oxygen to places in your body and veins that take carbon dioxide from your body to your lungs. This is my highway. But I can't move by myself. I move within your blood when it moves. How does your blood move, you ask? Why, your heart pumps it. Let me show you how. Your heart is the most important muscle in your body. It moves by itself, and even though you can hardly feel it, it keeps moving all the time, even when you are sleeping. Want to feel your heart move? Sit very still and put your hand on your chest. If you're running hard or exercising, you might find it easier to feel. When your heart moves, it's called a heartbeat. Your heart makes at least 100,000 heartbeats every day. When your heart beats, it pulls blood into it and pushes it out again. This helps the blood to move fast enough to go through your whole body and back. And it helps me to pick up my deliveries and take them to different places in your body.
So boys and girls, what can we say that little red circle was? It's a red blood cell. And what does a red blood cell do? What does it deliver? Does it mean literally delivering? No, right? It means figuratively because he travels throughout your whole body. So he literally does go throughout your whole body delivering oxygen, but there is no highway inside of our bodies. That's just a figure of speech. He's just saying that he has to go through so many places in our whole body that he compared it to a highway. Okay, boys and girls, so this is the selection that we're going to be reading next. It's called the Circulatory Story. So it is so remember, today we're going to look for print and graphic features. We're going to do a book walk, and I'm going to show you on Teams where to get it. And you're going, so we're going to read from pages 1 through 4. So that's our goal. Okay, boys and girls, so in order to see this book, you need to go to the part that says reading. Remember, under Teams, reading. And on the first tab, make sure you're under General. You're going to click on Files. Once you click on Files, you're going to see the Circulatory Story. All you have to do, boys and girls, is click on it. So once you click on it, you can scroll through here. You'll see that they're all here. So for now, I'm going to show you my version because it's a little bit bigger. Okay, so what is this first thing that we see here in the cover? It is called an illustration. I also see what's in the middle, the title. Do we know who the author is? Yes, it's Mary Corcoran, and it's illustrated by Jeff. What does it mean by illustrated? That means that he did the pictures. Yes, so let's keep going. We see another illustration. Good. And as we keep going, we see again the title, we see the illustrations. So we know that this is going to be very important, right? Maybe they're going to reference it throughout the book. And we are on the first page. It says, can you feel your heart beating? Are they talking about a literal heart or a figurative heart? They're talking about the real heart, right? So literal heart. And then look at this illustration. Thump, thump. What is that called, boys and girls? If you reference back to your figurative language anchor chart, what are those words called? Remember the ones that make a sound like boom, pow? If you said onomatopoeia, you're 100% correct. Thumb, thumb. It's a word that makes a sound. It's figurative language. Okay, let's zoom into the first page. Ever wonder what's going on inside the veins of your arms and legs? Oh, so that's that little illustration we saw at the beginning of the page. We see again, what did we say that was called? The thumb, onomatopoeia. And what's up with bleeding when you get a scrape? So we know that he's asking her questions, right? You don't have to yell. Shrug. Oops, sorry. It's time to find out how your heart, blood, and blood vessels work together as you take the best ride of your life. It's a trip throughout the body's circulatory system. Your adventure begins in a tiny drop of blood. So boys and girls, what can we already tell that's going to happen? What do they mean that they're going to have a trip? They're probably going to go inside, right? So we're going to probably see the inside of our circulatory system. Oh, look at this, boys and girls. Remember when I said that you needed your anchor chart for text features? This is when you need it. What is this called? So it looks like in this illustration, they opened it up. So what do we call that illustration when it looks like they opened it up and I can see the inside of it? What is it called? It is a cutaway. Good job if you said it was a cutaway. So cutaway, the author includes it so you can see what is inside of that. So here they're showing us the blood vessel. And if I was to open a blood vessel in our body, it would look like this. It would have the platelets, it would have the red blood cell, and it looks like it's carrying something with it. And ooh, boys and girls, look at this. Whee! That word that makes a sound, what did we say that was called? Onomatopoeia. And then I see, what is this called, boys and girls? It is a heading. Good. So let's go ahead and start reading. Let's zoom in. And it says, see the red thing that looks like an inner tube without the hole? It's an erythrocyte, and it's one of the 3 cellular components of or formed elements of blood. We'll meet the other components later. An erythrocyte is also known as a red blood cell, and it's your right. Oh, boys and girls, look what it's saying. It's your right. Do they literally mean you can go inside of your red blood cell? No, that means they're going to do what? They're going to show us going on a red blood cell. So they're using that as figurative language. So they're saying that this little illustration right here, this little green creature, is going to travel in a red blood cell. So that's going to be our right, so that we get to know more of our circulatory. This red blood cell is just one of millions found in a drop of blood. These cells carry oxygen. So what is this little green creature carrying? Oxygen. Boys and girls, do we need oxygen to survive? Absolutely. Yes, we do. So now we know that what carries oxygen? A red blood cell. No, they don't carry it in a suitcase or a backpack. Instead, the oxygen attaches to a chemical called hemoglobin that's found in red blood cells. With hemoglobin's help, blood can transport oxygen to all parts of the body, including cells and tissues which need a constant supply of oxygen, or O2. So remember this, O2 is oxygen in order to work. Nice job, Red. Oh, okay, so our whole body needs what? Oxygen. And who carries the oxygen? The red blood cell. Now the red blood cell also has what? Hemoglobin. So they kind of attach to each other. So they all work together. Can they work independently? Absolutely not. Let's go ahead and turn the page. So now we're on page 7. What do we say this is called? A heading. So why did the author include these headings? So the first one was called what? Saddle up that cell. So I know that it's talking all about a red blood cell. Yep. And what does it mean by saddle up? Look at this illustration. Look at the cutaway. What does saddle up mean? That he's getting on a red blood cell, right? Okay. So then we already know that this section that says go with the flow, what is it going to talk about? That he's actually going through the what? What do we say this pink thing looks? What is this pink thing called? It's a blood vessel. So he's inside of a blood vessel. Busy red blood cells are always on the move. But how do they flow from one part of the body to another? The blood they travel in is full of a substance called plasma. Oh, so what do they travel on, boys and girls? Plasma. So what does it mean by go with the flow? They are traveling through plasma. So it kind of looks like it's gooey. And now we know that gooey thing is called plasma. Plasma contains some dissolved proteins, but it's mostly water, about 90%, which lets blood flow pretty well. Without plasma, these cells would cause a traffic jam. Boys and girls, does it mean a real traffic jam inside of our bodies in the blood vessels? No, they mean figuratively. Because what would happen if there was no plasma? Our blood vessels would be empty, right? And all those little red blood cells would not be able to travel anywhere. And of course, can we survive without oxygen? Absolutely not. Okay, what did we say this was called again? When we can see the inside of the blood vessel? A cutaway. Good. So we can see here the plasma. Look at the way it was labeled. So they're pointing towards the plasma. So we know that gooey stuff. Without it, there would be a traffic jam. Red blood cells wouldn't be able to travel throughout our body, delivering what? Remember, what do red blood cells carry? Oxygen. And what did we say these red things were? The circles that look like an inner tube without a hole? Erythrocytes or red blood cells. Good. Okay, so now I see another heading, boys and girls. What is this section going to be about? Remember, a section is just a part of a story. What is this one going to be about? Your heart. And how it's open what? 24/7. So does our heart ever go to sleep? Does it take time off? No, right? Because what keeps us going? Our heart. And what does our heart need? It needs oxygen. So you see how everything is connected, boys and girls. Your heart can't just say, hey, I'm tired today, I'm going to take a day off. It can't. It has to be working all the time. Traveling on your red blood cell, the first place you'll visit is the heart. Your heart working hard is about the size of your fist. So boys and girls, yes, if you were to close your fist like this illustration, that's how big your heart is. So go ahead and close your fist so you can see how big your heart is. It is located in the chest, a little towards your left side. It's enclosed in a spatial protective sac called the pericardium. The heart is strong and muscular and works day and night. So boys and girls, our heart is what? Strong and muscular. Good. In fact, it started beating 8 months before you were born. By the time you're 70 years old, it would have beaten about 2.5 billion times. Wow, boys and girls, that's a lot of times that it has beaten. So yes, when you were in your mother's belly, your heart was already beating. It was already working. So look at this illustration. So here the author is trying to show us how our heart our heart works. How hard our heart works. Meanwhile, in the year 2072, congratulations, your heart has beaten 2.5 billion times. Gee wilkers. So you can tell here that they're just trying to make a point, boys and girls, that your heart has beaten so many times, even though you're what? Look at the difference between this one, this illustration, and this one. Even though you're older, right? Yes, remember, your heart never takes a day off. Now we're going to go to the next section. Stay on your side. Based on the... Oh, boys and girls, what is this called? When the things are labeled? Look at your text features anchor chart. What is it? I can see the inside of the heart and it's labeled. What is it? So if you said that it was a cutaway and a diagram, you were 100% correct. Yes, what does a diagram do? It labels. So this is telling me that this is for the lungs, the septum, to the body. So there's many sides to the heart. So yes, and if I can see the inside, of course, it is a cutaway. So here the author included the illustration to show me what the inside of the heart looks like and the different parts of the heart. Let's go ahead and start reading this section. My left is your right. Left hand. You'll notice that the heart has two sides. So how many sides does the heart have, boys and girls? Two sides. Okay, the right side and the left side. So what are those sides called? The left and the right. Good. A thick wall called the septum separates the two sides. So what separates them? The septum. Each side has its own job to do. The left side receives blood from the lungs and pumps it to the whole body, while the right side receives blood from the body and pumps it to the lungs. So each side has what, boys and girls? Each side has a job. Yes. You might think of your heart as a divided highway. A divider separates the lanes. The cars must stay in their own lane. If not, there's trouble. Think about it, boys and girls. If your parents weren't driving on the one side, what would happen? There would be a traffic jam, right? It would be very, very dangerous for everybody. So look as I scroll down. Oh, the author included another what? Illustration. For what? Why did he include this? Was it to persuade me that I should be driving on one side or the other? No. Was it to show me the different sides of our heart and compare it to a highway? Yes, right? He's showing me that this is one way I can only go up, and on this side I can only go down. So they're comparing them. They're saying, hey, if you don't have two separated sides, there's going to be a huge traffic jam, and that is very bad for our hearts. Okay, boys and girls, so we're only going to read up to this page 9. Remember, you can always go back and read it by yourselves through Teams because you do have access to it. The next thing I want you to take out is your daily comprehension. So go ahead and go to the Wednesday. Okay, boys and girls, so you should have your daily comprehension in front of you. Today is Wednesday, so today we're going to be doing some inferences. So the first sentence I see is the reader can tell. I want you to go ahead and circle the word tell. And I know some synonyms, remember synonyms means the same, would be to conclude. It would also be infer, because in your mid-module, you're actually going to see this word a lot. It means the same thing. All those three words, boys and girls, mean the same thing. You got to infer, you got to conclude, you got to tell. How do you do that? Well, you do that with textual evidence. So based on what we just read, what is something that we could infer? What was it talking about over and over again? Red blood cells. Good. What about them? Why are they so important? What do they do? They carry oxygen throughout your whole body. Okay. What happens if they don't carry oxygen throughout our whole body? Can we survive without oxygen? Absolutely not. So a statement that we can go ahead and do is red blood cells are very important to our bodies. So go ahead and write that down. Remember, pause the video if you're watching this independently. Okay, boys and girls, so if you scroll a little bit more down to this handout, you're going to see something that says evidence. In top of that, I want you to write text, because this comes directly from the text. We could either put it in our own words, or you can copy word by word. If you copy word by word, make sure you use these little quotations here, because you're copying from the text. Now, on top of inferences, I want you to write I do, because you as a reader have to infer. So the text evidence comes directly from the book, and then the inference is something that you as a good reader, you have to do. Okay, so the first one that I want you to write, and we're going to finish in class, is on page 6. It says this. Notice how I use quotation, boys and girls. That means that I copy word by word. And I want you to write, these cells carry oxygen. So guess what? In class, we're going to infer, why do they carry oxygen? What is the point of that? Why are they important? Go ahead and pause the video if you need time. Now, if you're doing this independently. On this side, I'm going to give you the opposite. I'm going to tell you it's important for red blood cells. So it is your job to tell me what's important for red blood cells. What is important for red blood cells? So let me zoom out. And remember, if you're watching this by yourself, you can always just press pause or come back. Even if you're watching this live, this is going to be available for you to view at a different time. Okay, boys and girls, and that is it. Before you go, make sure you have your homework section. We are checking page 4. Make sure you have your do now because that is something that you're doing independent. Make sure you have your interactive journal wherever you have your anchor chart for text features because that is what we're referencing today in class. If you finished this video early, go ahead and take a break. Make sure you're in class by 10 a.m. and don't be late. I'll see you then.